I just want to stay playing with the fort. How many here have made a fort in their living room? Last week? How many as an adult have made a fort in their living room? Is it because you had kids or because you never grew up? Maybe a little bit of both. That's right. So I have a question for you. I'm going to make you play a guessing game about me. Besides any given holiday or my birthday, what do you think my favorite day of the year is? No. I can't even begin to tell you how nervous I was that I would get up late today. Not a holiday. Yeah, because I get rid of my husband. No, my favorite day of the year is the winter solstice, which happens either December 21st or 22nd each year. Do you have any idea why? Right, because I know from every day after that one, the days are getting longer. And I don't do well in the darkness. I'm like a flower, I need sunshine. And so I get really moody and irritable during the wintertime because it's so dark all the time. I like the sunshine. So in thinking about that, I want you to think about, like, what do you like to do when it's rainy and overcast and just sort of dark outside? What are the types of things you like to do? Sleep. What? Read. Watch movies. Jigsaw puzzles. Yeah, just kind of like all into yourself, right? Now think about the opposite. Yesterday, in fact, I don't so much care about the cold as I do the sunshine, because for me, yesterday, even though it was very chilly, was a beautiful day because the sun was shining and it made me happy and wanting to go do things. And I, in fact, did a lot of things yesterday. But think about, we're going to do this because I think we have a few more days of this bitter cold. We're going to think about spring and summer that's just right around the corner. And to have that sunshine like it did yesterday on us. And the feelings that that invoked. What do we want to do in the summertime when it's beautiful outside and the sun shines for the majority of a day? What? Golf? That's a good way to spend your day. What'd you say, Mary? Pool. Marilyn wants to work, and I'm not totally on board with her. But if you like doing that, and that's definitely. But it makes us warm, and it makes us joyful, right? And so, as I pointed out to the kids, there is, throughout the Bible, where Jesus is referred to as light. And that shouldn't be lost on our gospel message today, because it isn't quite evident, but in the whole Gospel of John, there's this contrast between dark and light, just like we spent some time doing together today, this contrast between darkness and light. And in our gospel message today, we have the same thing going on. So another thing I want you to think about, just to drive in this concept a little bit more, but if you're at home and there's a severe thunderstorm and it knocks out the power during the nighttime hours, what's the first thing you do? You go looking for, you're like, I know, I put it here because I knew if it was dark I wouldn't be able to find it. You go looking for that candle, you go looking for that flashlight so that you can see and so that you can not stub your toe on the table that's been there for 20 years, but somehow you forgot it was there as soon as the lights went out, right? That's what you do. You go seeking out the light. So that's what I want you to keep in mind today as we take a look at the beginning of the gospel that we read. So if you turn to the gospel that we read in your bulletin, it begins with, "Now there was a Pharisee named Nicodemus, a leader of the Jews. He came to Jesus by night. So Nicodemus came to Jesus by night. Night, what comes along with night? Darkness. He came to Jesus, and Jesus says, what? Light. Yes, so we hear right from the very beginning of John's Gospel, in the first chapter, chapter 9, that John the Baptist is here to testify the true light which enlightens everyone was coming into the world. The true light which enlightens everyone was coming into the world. So Jesus is light, and Nicodemus is coming in the darkness to the light. So it's especially important to listen to that and to hear what is going on. Nicodemus, for whatever reason, and the gospel never really says what the darkness is, why Nicodemus came in the night. But the one thing that we can know about that is how many times in our lives do we have darkness? And this light is eternally available to us. This light that is found in Jesus Christ is eternally available to us. So when our world goes dark, we have the same opportunity that Nicodemus had in going to the light of Jesus Christ. Now, you'll see as we read further into the gospel that Nicodemus is a little confused about who Jesus really is. And Jesus kind of has to beat Nicodemus over the head with the fact that he is God. He's not just a teacher who God is present with, but Jesus is God. We see Nicodemus come in the Gospel of John a couple other times, and you'll see his relationship with God progress. Does he ever really get it that Jesus is God? We can't be sure of that. But what we can be sure of is that our journey looks a lot like the journey of the people in the Bible. Our journey looks a lot like doubt and being overwhelmed and living in sadness. But we are promised in this gospel message, and we are promised by God through Jesus Christ, that there is a light that shines for us, that gives us love, hope, peace, and joy. And that light is Jesus Christ. And so Nicodemus comes asking questions, and that's actually a faithful response from all of us, to be able to come and ask questions, to seek Jesus out. Now, we really can drive this particular point home. When we jump ahead a couple weeks, we're going to find that a Samaritan woman happens upon Jesus at a well. And when we come to that, I want you to listen. I want you to listen to that gospel message that will be read in a few weeks. When the Samaritan woman happens upon Jesus, the description is that it was noon that day. So the brightest part of the day. And I think these two stories compared with each other tell us a lot about the different ways that Jesus shows up in our lives. But Jesus indeed always shows up as light. Sometimes we go seeking after that light in the darkness, but sometimes that light just happens upon us in the noonday of our life. Jesus is our light. Jesus is our path. Jesus is our guide. And Jesus is there to give us peace and hope and comfort and love. Amen? So what I want you to do now is that I just want to point out a couple things about what will happen when we bring our prayers up. So, during this Lenten season, we spend a lot of time in prayer and meditation. Looking for the light. And so, In honor of that, we've written our prayers on the index cards. And as we go through the prayers, just come up whenever you feel so moved to come up and hang your prayers on the light. We're going to lift those prayers to God as a part of the prayers of the people. So those prayers that we do are supposed to be our prayers rising up to God. And so today we're going to do a little activity of bringing those prayers and bringing them to the light so that they can be lifted up to the Lord. Thank you.